Midjourney version 6 is out and brings some amazing new changes. Hello my friends, how are you doing? I'm actually using Midjourney almost on a daily basis, especially if I want to have very expressive images or stock-like images. So these new changes are actually really good. I want to show you some example images and prompts and talk about how they changed and why it is so important to have these changes. Also shout out to Robomar for helping me with this video. Also, here's a little update from my Thailand stay. It's just very beautiful here. I'm seeing fireworks, these amazing dance performances that are in the shopping centers. I have spent some time with a monk talking about Buddhist philosophy and saw this gigantic Buddha statue. Shout out to Jürgen. Thank you for organizing that day for me. Of course, making some new friends and meeting the Thailand Stable Diffusion community. All of that is really nice. Let's get started. Now it's time to look at some images and the prompts here. So this is a prompt from Robomar, Beauty and the Beast in the style of The Simpsons, and it's creating that in a pretty good way. It actually looks like a scene from a Simpson comic, so that is very nice, easily understood. Now of course you will see when you look a little bit closer, there's a little bit of a problem with the interaction of the hands and the arms, but the style itself is pretty nice. Here's another example image from Robomar, Santa Claus Superstar showing tongue cartoon hyper-realistic. Now there's a little bit of a version 5 prompting in here, but the interesting thing is the tongue sticking out, and this is something that was pretty hard to do in version 5, especially in a way that looks good. I would say here it looks really good. Now here's an example that I created with the text Hello World, and in 3 out of 4 images this text was actually created correctly. And I also like here that it's not just creating the text, but also you can see there is some depth of field blur on the text itself, so the effect here is pretty amazing. Here you can see the prompt that is pretty simple, a photo of the text Hello World written with a marker on a sticky note, and this is exactly what we got. Here's the next scene that I had to test out. We have here a very large dragon and then a smaller character, a warrior, standing on the left side in the ruins of a castle, and I have to say this turned out really well. This is a first roll image and the composition is very nice, but it also followed my prompt very nicely. So here you can see the prompt I'm using, a burning castle ruin. On the left is a man in warrior armor looking small in the image. He's looking up to a large red dragon who is looking down at him with anger. And I have to say that this actually is completely there, even the interaction with the character, the whole style is there, the fire's there, the colors work very nice, and a lot of this also has very nice artistic direction in the sense of what is more or less saturated, what is brighter and darker, where we have high and low contrast. So an example here would be that the warrior has as a background lighter color, so you can actually see his silhouette and even the sword he's holding in his hand. Very good artistic decision here from Midjourney. As you probably know, I love cats and I love lo-fi music, so of course I love lo-fi music wallpapers. Here I wanted to have a humanoid cat sitting in the sunset reading a book, this kind of cozy scenario, and this turned out really amazing. Now this is also a first roll and I'm really happy with everything here. The art style, the composition, the humanoid structure of the cat, how the cat is actually reading and holding the book, all of that is really beautiful. Here we have the prompt for that, cozy drawing in anime style of a cat with a human body reading a book in sunset light. This is not using Nichi, this is using Midjourney version 6. Here's another scene that can be quite complex for Midjourney, and I have to say I think it has improved a lot. Now here we have the cockpit of a sci-fi spacecraft, and this is interesting because of course this is not something where there is thousands of images online that actually show you how stuff like that looks. So in the past, Midjourney had a lot of problems of creating these interiors of spaceships because there's just not many examples there. So I feel like here we have a very nice structure, very nice composition. We have a lot of functionality in the different elements in here, and also the character is sitting correctly on a chair that actually makes sense, and he is sitting there actually doing work. So all of that has a lot of coherence and all of that has a lot of functionality in there. Here we have the prompt. In this case, I have used ChatGPT to create a longer prompt. It reads, the spaceship's command center is a hive of activity with holographic displays. The captain oversees operations from a central chair surrounded by a panoramic view of space through a transparent viewport. Crew members in futuristic uniforms operate control panels. The air is charged with urgency as the crew coordinates their efforts, and the soft hum of the spaceship's systems underscores their focus. Next, we have here giant mech robots standing in a city street. Also very nice. Again, I love the dynamic between the different elements, how he's standing there, how the light is working in the same way on him and on the surrounding buildings. And then as a contrasting elements, we have down there at the ground very small people that are running around in the streets. Again, you can see here the very nice decision that the silhouettes of the people on the ground have as a background lighter fog so that we can actually see them very clearly. I love also not just the composition but also the camera angle looking up at that large robot and giving us a very nice reference point on how big this robot actually is. Here we have the prompt, very simple in this case, movie scene of a giant robot standing in a city. Another thing I really like is liminal space, and here we have an old arcade. I wanted to have some green light here. We see some dirt on the ground. Some of the machines are still turned on. So all of that is a pretty cool, very interesting scene. Love the lighting, love the atmosphere in this. Again, here we have a little bit of a longer prompt created with ChatGPT. It reads photo in gray and green tones of the dimly lit space of an abandoned arcade. The flickering glow of the malfunctioning neolights casts an eerie ambience. The once vibrant arcade machine stands silent and lifeless. The screens frozen in time. Dust particles dance in the air, caught in the soft beams of faded pastel-colored lights. The air is thick with a sense of nostalgia and abandonment as the ghostly echoes of long-forgotten game sounds linger in the emptiness. And then I have to say again, a lot of that is found here in this image with the dirt on the ground, with the broken ceiling. It has this kind of liminal eeriness in there, so that's pretty cool. Here's another example of a dynamic between a very large monster and a warrior standing in front of it. Again, I really like the composition here with the cave, with the water flowing down. And again, I can't stress this enough, the nice decisions of the colors here. Most of that is blue and orange, and we have most of the light and the fire where the hero is standing, and it is really bringing out the silhouette of the hero standing there and the dynamic to the monster, because of that light reflecting on the face, we can see that the monster is looking down at the hero. So there's so much artistic, nice decision in here, and this is really what Midjourney is very, very good at. Again, we have a prompt from ChatGPT. At the entrance of a dark, cavernous abyss, a stoic warrior faces a colossal, shadowy titan emerging from the depths. The air is thick with tension as the warrior, bathed in the eerie glow of the enchanted runes, confronts the monstrous entity. The clash between the two titans echoes through the cavern, each strike resonating with raw power as the warrior battles to prevent the malevolent force from escaping into the world above. Next, I want to look with you at some stock images, and I personally think that this is also a hallmark of good AI image generation. How well do these look as actual stock images that you could use for a campaign? How much do you believe the actual image? And here I have to say the results are really good. The food looks really nice and tasty and like actual food in there. The salad, the tomatoes, the cheese, the meat, even the sauce in between the salad and the bun looks like actual sauce. All of that really good. The composition is very nice. With the depth of field, we have a nice focus on the food itself. So all of that looks like an actual product photo. Really, really good. Here we have the prompt. You can see it's very simple. Stock photo of a juicy burger with tomatoes and salad. Here's another interesting scene, and this is one of the things I love to test. These are office pictures, because you will find that if you go to stock pages and want to have any kind of office or business related image, they mostly look really terrible, really staged, really not authentic at all. So here I wanted to have a guy who's working late at the office with the illuminated city in the background, and Midjourney has delivered on the first roll. Now this is the future of stock images, because instead of searching for hours for a good image, you can just create it like that. Here we have my prompt: man working late in office, sitting in front of a computer at night, view of the city skyscrapers behind him through the large glass windows. And look at how everything is in here and everything looks really good. And here's the last image that I want to show you today. This is kind of a challenge for you, because I found that creating a gigantic woman walking through a village or a city is something that is still very difficult to create with Midjourney, especially in a way where the woman is not a statue but actually a woman walking around. Now here it is a silhouette with no details and it looks a little bit more like a monster, but still I have to say in this case Midjourney has done a really good job. The prompt here reads: gigantic woman who is 20 stories tall walking through a village. And yes, I see that I have a little bit of a typo here in through. Let's have a bit of a look at the announcement. And of course, you can set it up in the settings to use version 6, but you can also use --V6 to call it inside of the prompt without changing it in the settings. Now, they talk here a lot about more accuracy, also for longer prompts, which is very good when you create prompts with ChatGPT. And also it has more coherence and model knowledge in there, which is also good because then it can create more complex scenes and just understand better what you mean. And the model is trained on more different kind of things you want to create in a scene. We're going to see that in a second. Now, something they say here that's pretty interesting is that this is a significant difference to version 5, and they say you will need to relearn how to prompt. So things like award-winning photorealistic 4K, 8K, they call it chunk, and that is no longer needed for the images. Not quite sure 100% you don't need that, but it actually is creating really good results even without these words in there. Another thing to point out here is that it actually has a minor text drawing ability, so it can create text. And in my test, I actually created a text pretty good in most of the rendered images. And right now, this is an alpha test. This is not the final version of version 6, but it is out in the sense that everybody can use it. So you can see here that all of these different features like different ratios, chaos, weird, tiles, stylized, stylized raw, very subtle, very strong, remix, blend, describe, and so on are also available for version 6, although for the described version says just the version 5 is used here. And then there is some other stuff that's not working yet that's coming soon. That is, for example, pan, zoom, vary, region, tune, and then also describe version 6. Describe version 6 will be very, very useful because then you can actually have prompts as they are meant to be, and you can just create prompts based on images tuned to the use in Midjourney. Personally, I'm very amazed by these changes because they help me out a lot in generating the images I need. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Thanks for watching and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Bye! Oh, you're still here. So this is the end screen. There's other stuff you can watch like this or that. It's really cool. And yeah, I hope I see you soon. Leave a like if you haven't yet. And well, yeah,